Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman to receive a medical degree in the United States. In 1849, on a winter's day in upstate New York, a young Elizabeth Blackwell crossed the stage at the Presbyterian Church in Geneva, becoming the first woman in the history of the United States to receive a medical degree. A turning point in women's rights, this day began her lifetime's work, changing society's views on women and persevering to become an inspiration to young ladies everywhere. Born on February 3, 1821 in Bristol, England, Elizabeth was the third of 9 children to Samuel and Hannah Blackwell. Samuel Blackwell was a successful businessman who owned a sugar refinery. He spoke out against slavery, Anglicanism, and had strong liberal beliefs. His views contradicted the beliefs of many other British people of his time. This proved to be an obstacle for his family in their journey to advance and fit into a society of great unrest. Elizabeth lived in England for the first years of her life, where she and her siblings were overseen by servants and educated by a governess who took the Blackwell children for long walks around their Bristol town. Growing up, she was treated equally to her brothers, so she spent countless hours with them in private tutoring sessions. When she was 11, her family moved to New York because her father had lost his job and the economy was in a depression. Samuel Blackwell thought that America would be a place of prosperity for his business and a place where his radical views would be accepted in society. The family, at this time only having 10 members, moved across the pond. During her childhood, she moved from Bristol to New York, then to New Jersey, and to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Elizabeth Blackwell faced many obstacles on her quest for an education even from her early childhood. Samuel Blackwell refused to acknowledge the established Anglican Church that had authority in their area, and his children were banned from attending public schools. The Blackwell family would not settle for no education, so Samuel Blackwell hired private tutors to provide his children the education they deserved. Despite her being a female, Elizabeth participated alongside her brothers and proved herself to be a worthy, ambitious, and devoted student, despite resistance from her aunts and mother who tried to mold her into a model housewife. Even before her interest in becoming a physician, Elizabeth was eager to get an education. She held a teaching job at a school in Kentucky, but because of her strong anti-slavery stance, clashing with the racist attitudes of the people in the area, she was forced to resign. Elizabeth took a job as a school teacher in North Carolina under the direction of John Dixon, who aided her in her medical studies. She then moved to a teaching position in South Carolina, where she dedicated a large amount of her time to her studies and was guided by John Dixon's brother, Samuel. Elizabeth was first inspired to become a physician when a friend voiced her feelings of discomfort at a male doctor being her physician in the area of gynecology. Elizabeth became infatuated with the idea, despite the repercussions from her friends, who told her that the only way she would be accepted into medical school was if she dressed as a man and moved to France. She did not accept defeat. She sent applications into many American schools. Elizabeth Blackwell was rejected 29 times by different medical schools when she applied, but she was finally accepted by Geneva Medical College in New York in 1847, where she became the first American woman to earn an MD degree. She continued her education at La Maternité Medical Institution in Paris, but she contracted purulent conjunctivitis, which caused partial blindness in one eye. She had to give up her dream of being a surgeon, but she still pushed for the education of women and opened medical institutions with the help of other female physicians, including her own sister, Emily Blackwell.
After she practiced in Paris, she moved to London and practiced at St. Bartholomew's Hospital for a number of months. Following this, Blackwell returned to New York. When she arrived, she applied for several positions as a physician, but was rejected because of her gender. Blackwell then established a private practice, where her sister Emily, who had also pursued a medical career, joined her. Dr. Mary Zarswajka worked with the Blackwell sisters to open this health center. It later became the New York Infirmary and College for Women, operated by and for women. During the American Civil War, Blackwell trained many women to be nurses and sent them to the Union Army. As she grew in her field and became an expert, she also wrote lectures on health, which she published in 1852 as The Laws of Life, with special reference to the physical education of girls. These lectures were just some of the things she wrote during her time, having many other lectures and speeches published. In 1856, when Elizabeth was feeling the utter loneliness of life had become intolerable, she adopted Catherine Kitty Berry, an orphan of Irish origin, who was her companion for the rest of her life. In 1907, Blackwell was injured in a fall from which she never fully recovered. Only a couple years after, Elizabeth Blackwell died on May 31, 1910, at her home in Hastings, Sussex, after a stroke. She was buried in June of 1910 in St. Mun's Churchyard at Kilmun in Ayrshire, Scotland. Although this date marked the end of her life, it did not mark the end of her legacy. Following Blackwell's death, several women followed their dreams of becoming doctors and entering the medical field. Furthermore, with this huge leap for women, females are now common in the medical field, as well as several other fields that were earlier not acceptable in society.
Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell achieved several monumental accomplishments that changed history for the better. In 1849, she was the first woman to receive a medical degree from an American medical school and also the first woman on the British Medical Register. When Dr. Charles Lee conferred her degree, he stood up and bowed to her. In 1851, she returned to the U.S. and established her own practice in New York, which later expanded into the New York Infirmary for Indigent Women and Children. In 1858, she was able to become the first woman in England to have her name entered on the General Medical Council's medical register. Throughout her life, she wrote many speeches, lectures, and books that proclaimed her ideas about gender discrimination, the medical field, and women. These writings showed the world her feelings, along with many other women's, about their lives and roles in society. Thanks to Elizabeth Blackwell, women in the United States were able to pursue a career that had never been open to them before, and they gained respect from others and pride for themselves. Blackwell's determination and self-worth allowed her and many other women to finally gain the regard they deserved. Since 1949, the American Medical Women's Association gives the Elizabeth Blackwell Medal to a woman physician who has made outstanding contributions for women in medicine. Hobart and William Smith Colleges presents the Elizabeth Blackwell Award to women for outstanding service to humankind. Elizabeth Blackwell helped to change the way people thought of women and opened many doors for women. Elizabeth and women from her time were not treated equal to men, and she was driven to change that. She demanded respect and made herself known, and because of her willpower and persistence, she will be remembered for a long time.